Hello there, thanks a lot for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and today, boy, I tell you, it's a 1950s rock and roll concert poster that I guess it's a little bit short on talent. It doesn't have any of the 6 founding fathers of rock and roll on here like Chuck Berry or Fats Domino, and it has just one member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But making up for that is a poster that's really long, I feel, on just fun and charisma, thanks to this really cool 1950s layout and design. And of course, it's as scarce as any 50s original window card, adding a lot of cachet for collectors, and that's the reason I have just a faded one to show you today. But you know, fade or no fade, whatever condition, these things just tickle me to death. They are just so much fun. So, taking this one from the top up there, it is a tour blank, but first in the permanent area, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, you can barely see it, Sonny Long Gone Thompson presents. Well, that's fun right there, right? I mean, you know, later posters would have corporations like Concerts West or Pacific Presentations, but here you've got the band leader presenting the tour, so that's really a lot of fun. And then still, upper left there in the colored portion, notice inside that red banner, because I'll get back to that in a moment, Fabulous All-Star, and then Rock and Roll Show of 57 in the black stripe. And I've always said in the 50s, 57 is my favorite, maybe the best year for rock and roll. And then you've got the big blank white box. Not at the very top of the poster. Notice how it's, you know, floating amongst the permanent colored portion is the tour blank area with this white box. And that's very unusual because, for one thing, it was hard for, you know, the day-to-day information to be stripped in. You know, the printing press had to hit a target instead of the usual situation of just the top, whatever, 20% of the poster being blank white. So you had this target that had to be hit, and sure enough, there's a little bit of a price, you know, to be paid with that method. But it does say Dance and Show in really big letters there, the most common headline of this era. Thursday, September 12th, 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, of course 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And air-conditioned Municipal Auditorium in Topeka, Kansas. They are sure to point that out because, you know, boy, I'll tell you, it was hot in the Midwest in the summertime, absolutely. Advance tickets, $1.75, and at the door, $2. And then things get pretty funny. Let's take even a closer look. Boy, that promoter really wanted to jam in a lot of information, every detail they could. First of all, on the lower left, under air-conditioned, in tiny words, it says, no advance tickets sold after 6 p.m. on September 11th. In other words, don't try to save yourself a quarter by coming around the night before or the morning of the show. And then those things, boy, that lettering just really gets crowded with the ticket buying locations. And the words actually stomp on a couple of musicians' pictures, as you can see. 3 locations are given in Topeka. You got the Mills Music Company, Walgreen Drugs, and the very local Ideal Restaurant. And then you've got Green Gables in Lawrence, Kansas. And that's what just moves over and stomps right there on the forehead of a 5 Satin. So, you know, obviously get that information in there, and they weren't worried too much about aesthetics because this was going to be thrown away the day after the show, right? So, now since this is a tour blank, instead of waiting toward the end of the video, I'm going to just jump in right here with another example to show you, not the actual poster, but a photograph of it, to show you what could be done with that white box, especially with less information. Look at this. Well, first of all, there's the picture of the whole poster, exact same poster, and this is from Wichita, Kansas, 140 miles away. And as you can see, this promoter had only one ticket price and no locations listed. So there was a lot more breathing room in the venue box, and nobody's head got trampled on with words. They did add the word big though, big dance and show. And then speaking of the word big, look at that, September 14th. Boy, that's really huge. And you've got Saturday night at the Mambo Club. And then under the date, it does say Wichita, Kansas. And then very succinctly, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., admission, $2.50. And then it finally says direction, Ray Overton. And then the big mystery to me, you know, as a poster expert and everything else, I just love these. This is really crazy. On this one, take a look at the red banner and notice how it says Fantabulous. Well, back to the poster now in Topeka, under my fingers there. Notice the red banner says Fabulous All-Star instead of Fantabulous. And these things are just 2 days apart, and this was a national tour blank. You know, the colored portion was the consistent part used for the whole tour. So how in the world and why was that, that word changed? It's just nutso. I mean, even as a super poster veteran and expert, it's a total head scratcher, and there's no way to find out over half a century later. I suppose one piece of speculation could be that, the word fantabulous is very unusual, and maybe one national tour promoter had sort of laid claim to it, and so told this tour promoter they couldn't use it, so they just changed it out to Fabulous All-Star. But how many of each were printed? What was discarded? All this stuff, forget it. We're never going to know. All we can do is speculate, but that's part of the fun, definitely part of the fun. Okay, can you see the musicians on this poster? Getting to them, the all-important musicians and the reason we're here. And we will start in the upper left there with the members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on this poster, and that is the Coasters, with two great song titles, Searchin' and Youngblood. And that was a two-sided big hit single for the Coasters this summer, both sides top 10 of the national mainstream pop charts, and influencing heavily a group over in Liverpool, England, known then as the Quarrymen. And at the time of this show, by the way, both of those sides were still in Billboard's Top 100. Then you've got really big billing there for Lula Reed, don't you? Take a look at that, top center, wow. Well, she was an R&B and gospel singer with a couple of top 10 R&B hits 5 years ago when she was singing for, band leader Sonny Thompson. Perhaps that's why she got such high billing there. And the song title given for her, I'll Drown in My Tears, was the bigger of those two top 10 R&B hits for Lula. And then moving across, you've got the five Satins with two song titles, both top 5 R&B hits, so real smashes on here. In the Still of the Night from 1956, and To the Isle, which was big this year and still in the national top 40 at the time of this show. I was really surprised in researching this to find out that In the Still of the Night was just number 24 pop, and that's it, because it's an evergreen that you still hear on oldies radio to this day, absolutely. Okay, so then moving downward, you do have the Cellos there. They charted one single in their career, and it was this spring, and not really a hit though, just charted. And you ready for this mouthful? You can see it right there on the poster. Okay, Rang Tang Ding Dong, I am the Japanese Sandman. And I challenge you to sing a line from that song or hum the melody. I can't. Okay, then you've got, in fact, let me reposition this poster here a little bit. You do have Gene and Eunice next, and they are pictured to the right of their name on the poster, and they're called the Kokomo Kids, understandably, because Kokomo was a top 5 R&B hit for them in 1955. And the second song on the poster, for Gene and Eunice, Strange World, did not chart. Then you've got Billy Valentine there, and he's pictured to the left of his name. My Rockin' Valentine also did not chart. And then finally, Sonny Long Gone Thompson and his band. Remember his name way up in the upper left corner. Well, here he is, and he's pictured in the lower right. Now, I have blogged a really cool Sonny poster from 1949 before as a separate video blog. In 48, by the way, he had a couple of number 1 R&B smashes, and yes, one of them was called Long Gone, and so thus his nickname. And then taking care of business, the bottom white margin there, you do have Direction Shaw Artists Corporation in New York City and Chicago, and the good old Murray Poster Printing Company out of New York. So, well, you can call it fabulous or you can call it fantabulous, but no matter what you call it, it's classic 50s rock and roll R&B on a great vintage window card. And as I said, this stuff just thrills me to no end. So, whew, and scarce, tough to find. Hope you enjoyed seeing the video. Thanks a lot for dropping by today, and we'll see you again for something soon. Bye-bye.